It's important to understand the link and connection of sleep apnea with headaches because you may be someone who has headaches and are wondering why they're in the morning, why they last several hours, and you don't know where the heck to turn. Or you may be someone, you already know you have sleep apnea or suspect it strongly, and you're starting to feel more symptoms in the morning, such as headaches. Either way, we need to understand why this is happening, what it means for your body at a deeper level and the impact it's having, and of course, what the heck you should be doing about it. So that's what we're going to talk about today in this episode. I'm Dr. Dylan Peckus. Let's go ahead and dive in about headaches, typically described as a morning headache, unless you're a night shift worker. It's typically going to be something in the morning. To help you identify what this feels like, and we're going to talk about this type, the main type of a sleep apnea headache. I will also have a short section, a detour, if you will, on migraines. So there's going to be sleep apnea headaches and also migraines. Sleep apnea can also lead to migraines as well. So, what on earth does a sleep apnea headache feel like? First thing is the timing. It's going to be in the morning when you wake up. It's a dull, throbbing pain that typically it's not isolated, right? If it is for you, if you're feeling that, just wait till we talk about migraines. But typically, sleep apnea headache is going to be on both sides of the head, bilateral, if you will, and it will also be radiating. Sometimes it'll start here, go towards your forehead. Sometimes it will start in the center and go down towards the neck. Now, this is what makes it very, very unique. It is made worse by activities that increase blood pressure, such as whether it's bending over, coughing, looking at your emails, paying your bills, all blood pressure raising activities will make this worse. That's what it feels like. And just to further characterize this for you, this is something very, very common. Okay, so if you have some sleep issues and you have headaches, like this should start to get the gears turning of how bad your sleep apnea is, or if you even have it in the first place. So, just some statistics on this: about 50% of people with obstructive sleep apnea have morning headaches. So, again, that's why if you have morning headaches, you should be suspicious of obstructive sleep apnea. And of course, I'm not saying you should self diagnose. There could be many other things. If you just have morning headaches, but you're not tired, you don't snore, none of that, obviously talk to your doctor. Another thing about this is that this is really probably the most important fact. It's super zoom in on this, is that the worse your sleep apnea is, the more likely you are to experience these headaches. We'll talk about why that is. Okay. And not to abandon, well, I mean, we'll have a whole detour here on like what's going on, etc., with obstructive sleep apnea and headaches and nice little graphics. But to not leave out my migraine folks, sleep apnea can also make migraines worse or start in the first place. How it happens is a little bit related to the oxygen swings that we'll talk about. So, oxygen swings in your brain can lead and trigger migraines. That's true. Another big working theory is the position and tension that you're going to have in your body, especially your neck region, from the different positions someone with sleep apnea is going to find themselves in at night. Quite simply, sleep apnea, sleeping on your back, not the best idea. All right, I have a video on positional sleeping and all that. Go check that out if you haven't. After this one, stick with me here. As a result, can't sleep on your back, it's going to be on your tummy or on your side. As a result, that can lead to some more pinched nerves in your neck from this new sleep position, and then this will become a contributing factor to migraines. So, if you have sleep apnea, migraines have gotten worse, or you've had the onset of migraines, which are going to be more of an isolated area, might have an aura, like you start to see things, or it's like very pounding and just very intense and can really take you out. You're sensitive to light, all those different pieces will happen from these two major mechanisms. Another one that will also contribute to migraines. And what I mean by this is sleep apnea will also lead to a lot of neuroinflammation. So the nerves in your brain will also be more sensitive and lead to an onset of a migraine headache. So just wanted to have that little detour so we can include more people in this discussion of a little bit more what's going on and how to fix it. So over here with our handy dandy chart. So again, if sleep apnea as a possible cause of headaches is new for you, this is for you. And if you know you have sleep apnea, this is also for you. Basic overview, sleep apnea, you should be able to just breathe normally through your airway. What happens during normal sleep is air flows through here. If you have sleep apnea, we'll skip the center one for now, this airway is fully blocked. And the main common core mechanism is going to be a faster inhale that pulls these tissues back into the airway. So look, we'll like do mega zoom in here. This is the palate, this is your tongue, those are pulled back. On this side where it's normal, they are not pulled back. Now, the reason this happens is because when you have either in a large palate, a large tongue, or maybe something with your nose going on, it's going to force you to breathe faster because your body is now forced to breathe through a straw. Then as a result, you're someone who is having to breathe faster just to keep up, and this faster breathing pattern sticks with you at night, and faster airflow will pull things into it. Just like how a strong gust of wind can like pull papers from the inside of your car to the outside. Same thing happens here. It's this like suction force. And just as a detour, snoring happens as a partial obstruction, just like how a whistle works. You have a small area, you have air moving through that pretty quickly, and then that will lead to some friction, that will lead to some noise. All right, so we understand how that happens. When this happens, so the fast breathing leads to a block in breathing. And when you don't breathe, what happens? You can do it with me. If we did this for like a minute or two, or maybe just 15 or 20 seconds for you, you're going to feel an urge to breathe. And that's happening because you have a big change in how your body is handling oxygen and carbon dioxide. And whenever there's a big shift in how your body is handling these gases, your blood vessels will change as a result. Because your body's blood vessels, one of their biggest jobs is to get the right amount of oxygen to the cells in your body and to get rid of carbon dioxide. And that's just, think of it like widening the lanes in a highway so more cars and more things can transport. That's what happens. And in sleep apnea specifically, when you have this buildup of carbon dioxide, what's going to happen is now you have a buildup of a bunch of stuff you don't want. So let's say, for instance, Disney. I'm just going to throw Disney under the bus. If you've ever been there, the highways are huge. I think they're honestly 5 lanes each way because when it is peak season, like really crowded in the amusement parks, they want to be able to allow people to, travel as much as they can because a little 2-lane highway, it would take like 13 hours to get to Space Mountain or whatever the heck they still got going on over there. But they widen the highways to allow more travel to happen. Same thing is going on inside of your body. And this is why, kind of bring this back to blood vessels, people with sleep apnea have wake-up headaches. This is a well-documented phenomenon going back to 1999, so far ago. And what happens is that there is this cerebral, which means in your brain, vasodilation, widening of the highways. That will happen inside of your brain. All these blood vessels, they get a little bit bigger. Here's the thing though. You have a skull. You have a predetermined amount of space in your brain. So what that means is you have this, it's like having a jar. You can only put so much in it, right? Because it's a solid jar. It's not going to expand like maybe a plastic one would. A glass one will be very rigid. As a result, if you fill it up with stuff, it's going to exert more pressure and can even cause the glass jar to break. Now, luckily that doesn't happen with a headache, although your head may feel like it wants to explode. But literally when you have wider blood vessels, bigger lanes of highway to get rid and better deal with the gases. They'll get bigger. There'll be more blood in there. And then as a result, when you have more blood in the same amount of space, you'll feel pressure. That's what that very diffuse headache is. That's what's going on. Okay. And that's exactly how one of the things when we're speaking with people on our free evaluation calls, they'll be talking about headaches or morning brain fog. And that just all points to brain dysfunction, which is why when we're looking at the brains of people with sleep apnea, which I believe we did in another episode. Let me zoom way out here. Let me see what I got. Here we go. This is why when you look at the brains of people with sleep apnea, there's a lot less healthy tissue. Okay? Someone who's normal, their brain's working quite well, everyone's lighting up. In obstructive sleep apnea, it's like a bunch of dull Christmas lights. And that's actually why there's this continuous spectrum, like healthy brains on the right, in the middle sleep apnea, and then over here is Alzheimer's. These are brain scans of activity and brain health. And that's because when your blood flow is like, fluctuating so much, it's like cutting off the fuel source and then bringing too much in. It just becomes very inconsistent, which makes it hard for your brain to function normally. And that's why people with sleep apnea or bad sleep, that's going to be one of the top predictors of developing Alzheimer's. So it may be a lack of productivity now, making mistakes at work, taking too long. This is what it is. Your brain falling apart. So that's why when we look at headaches, I want you to think of it like a check engine light. Now, all the wording on this won't be correct. I just had this made. This is an AI generated image because I like the artwork. But nonetheless, a headache is just another indicator on your dashboard. Because you may have headaches, you may have dry mouth, you may be tired, you may be irritable with people around you, you may be dropping your hobbies. These are all different indicators on your dashboard that you need to really do something about this. You need to be able to get this checked out and get the help that you need. Because when you have all these lights coming up on your dashboard, there's only so many that will appear before your car stops working and you're on the side of the road and need to get it towed and go through a lot more trouble than you would have if you just paid attention to those warning lights. But for you and your body, we're not talking about being on the side of the road, losing a couple hours, calling someone to pick you up. We're talking about either you off to the hospital losing your life or accepting this new normal of a shadow of a life you used to have in terms of the quality of life, what you're able to do, what you're able to look forward to, and what you're able to experience, and having those regrets pile up. Because as you adjust to this, and you have been, you just start to accept less and less in your life. And there may be moments, whether it's at night, whether it's looking back, where those regrets pile up and you wish I paid attention to the warning signs earlier. And that's why being able to do everything you can for sleep apnea is really, really important. Because when we're looking at options to approach this, if you're allowing yourself to have good normal sleep like we had in this diagram up here, then guess what? You're not having these wild swings in oxygen. You're not having the vasodilation happen. And as a result, you're not having the headaches, but also the headaches are just a symptom of an underlying issue, causing even more issues in your heart and everywhere else. So if the headaches are going down, you're moving in the right direction. So yes, it's about reducing headaches. It's also about overcoming sleep apnea. Now, there's a lot of different options, right? I'm not going to deny the existence of a CPAP. Okay, some people love it, and that's great. They do it, and it's just happily ever after, and it works. And that's you. That's great. Not everybody responds like that. In fact, the majority of people, they can't stand a CPAP, whether they do it as best they can and it just like makes sleep worse and it's just like wakes them up and all these different pieces, or they're claustrophobic, or people use it and they can sort of grin and bear it, but they hate the dang thing. And there's going to be other options, whether it's a mouth guard, mouth tape, etc. That can work for some time, right? They'll have their own side effects. That's why I always like to be able to approach this with two main areas, right? Breathing exercises that retrain your body so you're breathing more slow, steadier, so that then your airway stays open and everything's working out okay. And then also having different lifestyle changes, right? Where you're reducing stress, you're having good nutrition, all in a way that favors good, slow, steady breathing. So you're breathing at night better, you're sleeping better at night, and just being able to have a much, much better experience of life. And that's exactly, if I can pull up the little model I have here. Let me see, I'm just like floating in the ocean of diagrams. Where is it? Here we go. And that's really when we're approaching sleep apnea, being able to talk about breathing, stress, your circadian rhythm, your environment, nutrition more, keep those airways open so you're sleeping well. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do that, right? Because this video, the point was to answer the question, can sleep apnea cause headaches? Emphatically, the answer is yes. Obviously, you stuck around because you wanted to know more, what it means and all of that, and what to do about it. And if you're someone who wants to, I mean, if you're someone who wants to try out CPAP, go ahead and do something. Do that. Because the thing is, you will only improve your health if you do something. Being able to make decisions, let's say you do a CPAP and it doesn't work, that's great too, because you've learned that option is not for you. You've moved forward in your journey. Because so many of the clients we're working with, that's what they did. Very few people, when they come to us, it's like the first time they've ever thought about doing something for their sleep apnea. They're in action. They're moving through things because they're constantly deciding what is for them and what's not for them. And again, even if it's a failure, even if it's a decision where you're like, I'm not really sure about it, you're still moving forward. So whether you decide to say, okay, Dr. Peckus, whatever, I'm going to go get a CPAP, great. And if that works, great. If it doesn't work, great. You're still moving forward in your journey. Or if you decide to watch some more videos on lowering stress or breathing, that's great too. That's going to allow you to go through your journey at a certain pace. Now, if you're someone who wants to make sure that each decision you make is leading you on the straightest line possible, because again, you go CPAP over here, oh, I don't like this, and then you're kind of back. You're still moving forward, but what if you just moved in the right direction the entire time based on your individual needs? How much faster could you overcome sleep apnea? How much faster could you get back to being productive, being engaged, and getting the most out of your life and being able to actually look forward to vacations or just simple weekend getaways or just being able to be present and in a good mood with the people around you? How much faster would that be if you had a personalized approach and the support needed to implement that? So, if you're someone who must have that faster approach, then what I want to offer you is our free one-on-one evaluation session. You can get that at ochnow.com/talk. It's our free 45-minute complimentary session where we're talking about what's going on with your health, what are your goals, and what are going to be the paths to help you achieve that. Now, if we can help you, we'll walk through those details, but if not, we'll just point you or steer you to whatever is going to serve you the best. So once again, go to ochnow.com/talk. You fill out a short form, and then you pick your day and your time for your free complimentary session. My name is Dr. Dylan Peckus. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.